Then he'll come back, maybe step back and look, and we want to look at the sheath and the prepuce, and you can actually do this when you have the animal in the chute, and you can actually physically handle that. But in our continental European cattle, in our British or English cattle, sheath is generally not a problem. When we get into cattle that have Brahman influence, the so-called or the Bos indicus influence, American Brahman, both red and gray, Brangus, red Brangus, Sangertrudis, Cimbra, Brayford, Beefmaster, those breeds tend to have a little bit more sheath. And we want to make sure that that animal is able to keep his penis and his prepuce tucked up into that sheath, that sheath doesn't have a tremendously large opening, so that animal gets to be lazy and his penis drops out. He drags it, maybe gets it in the dirt, gets sticker burrs, gets brush. He's laying down, another animal comes along and steps on it and injures it. All those will cause that animal to not be able to breed a cow. And so if we look at this bull, we'll evaluate it. We don't worry too much about that on European cattle or British cattle, but more on Brahman cattle. And what I look for are three things. I look to see how much sheath is there. I look to see what the angle of the penis is that it comes out from the hind quarter of the animal. I don't want a real extreme angle where it's pointing down towards the ground. I want the opening, the orifice of the prepuce or the sheath itself to be relatively small, and I don't want the bull to be lazy. I don't want him to just allow his prepuce and also his penis to hang out when he's relaxing. Some of the breeds are very concerned about what's called a bell navel, and by a bell navel, I just want you to visualize a flap of skin that's shaped like a bell. And that's generally right in front of the opening of the prepuce, or the prepuce opening of the sheath. It can be both in bulls and in heifers. And that tends to contribute more to sheath problems in bulls than those animals that don't have it. And it might just manifest itself as a little bit of a fold and not necessarily a huge bell, and that's discriminated against for a good reason, to try to tighten up these cattle a little bit. Then the veterinarian or your reproductive physiologist will step behind the bull when you have him in the chute, and he'll evaluate his scrotal circumference size. Typically, when a bull's about a year of age, 14 months, we like to see somewhere between a 32 and a 34 centimeter scrotal circumference. And if you, in a centimeter, is essentially 2.5 centimeters equal an inch. And so that'll kind of give you a little bit of an indicator in terms of inches. But what we're looking for is at about a year to approximately 14 months of age, we want to see bulls that have a scrotal circumference that's about that big around. Now, scrotal circumference in young bulls can tell us two things about them. One, it can tell us about the rate of sexual development. And so bulls that have a given age that have larger scrotal circumferences, young bulls that have larger scrotal circumferences, are developing sexually or maturing sexually more quickly than those bulls that have smaller ones. The other thing that scrotal circumference will tell us is about capacity, storage capacity of that bull, to put semen in, to hold semen, to produce semen, and to hold it, be able to breed maybe a few more cows if he's a fertile bull.